Well, that I'm just thinking the anchor point of this band is that little
Yeah.
finger, and that's
Oh yeah,
up
that's
there.
tight up there. Oh. Yeah, I just think Australia's in such a actually incredible, unique position if they did become a republic and start again. You know what I mean? And go, okay, let's take the best out of the U.S. Constitution and the French Constitution, and make it, a real democracy and establish people's rights and, start again. It's so obvious that the head of state should be elected. Because in this day and age, we can't trust, who accepts that the king is divinely ordained,
Yeah.
I mean, there's only a few nut jobs that would actually think that,
Divinely ordained.
Yeah, I mean, ridiculous. Prince Andrew was, you know what I mean? Like, he's part of the royal family, so what? He's a pedophile, or
Yeah.
he's divinely, it's ridiculous. And so, if they're not divinely ordained, then get rid of him. Because they have absolutely no right to be the head of state, And not only that, they're extremely wealthy people that have generated, you know what I mean, the taxpayers' money going to them. And, why is their opinion any more valuable than anybody else? And why are we paying to have them as the head of state? It just doesn't make any sense. It really doesn't. Like, when you get down to it, it does not make any sense to have the monarchy. And it's just more laziness on the part of, Australian culture, I suppose, to keep them there, because they're just like, oh, well,
Well, things are working as they are, so we'll just leave it as it is.
Yeah. But I don't know if it's that good for the psychological health of Australians. Like, they might be materially wealthy because, it's a land of a lot of mineral wealth and stuff like that, and, but spiritually and psychologically, is it really that healthy a country, High rates of suicide, especially amongst men, it doesn't feel that spiritually healthy a country, if you ask me, Australia.
Bloody hell no. But most people don't even acknowledge a spiritual realm.
No, I know.
The realm of the unseen,
Mm-hmm.
This is crazy.
Yeah, exactly. And, depression, anxiety, like, one of the reasons why people drink so much is because they're miserable.
Yep.
I mean, massive rates of alcoholism, and I mean, the fact that they got pubs in every town and every, you know what I mean? Like, they're everywhere, and it's like seen as part of the culture is really dysfunctional. To be intoxicated as part of your culture is really, like, who thinks that's healthy?
Yeah, I know. You gotta get drunk.
It's stupid. It's just damn stupid. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's kind of like they replaced God with alcohol.
Yep.
And
and alcohol was a death-inducing substance. So
exactly.
So
stupid. Australians. That's why I think Australians need to grow up. GTFU, as they say, grow the fuck up. Like, it doesn't require that much intelligence to see the whole thing's a bit messed up. The foundation of the society is not correct. And I really do think it was just the monarchy that they wanted to have people drunk here so they can control them and just become,
Yeah.
in the upper classes and all that kind of stuff. Oh,
Bit tender up here, right?
Right there, yeah, there, yeah.
And I think this, definitely corresponds to the three here, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does.
I think about, what's the basics that probably needs to be done just to, try to shift things in the right direction. And it's like, well, education, right?
Mm-hmm. Empowerment.
Empower the people.
Yeah. Yeah, because I think what can happen too is if you, like in schools, if you overwhelm kids with information that's irrelevant, then they can forget. There's massive information. They forget what's actually important as well, and I think that's sometimes what they do. You know, it's like, because when you think about it, you got to go, okay, what's important in life? You know, and obviously the most important thing is your connection with God and your spiritual life, and you know, following your dharmic truth and having honor and stuff. And then you got your physical health and your family and things. But so much in what school, I mean, what they emphasize is really unimportant, you know. I mean, I remember even studying such advanced levels of mathematics in school that I never end up using, you know.
What the hell was the?
You know, calculus and, you know what I mean? It's like, well,
Yeah,
you never use that unless you're going to be an engineer or, you know.
Yeah, like what the hell would you even use? Yeah, why would you study that if you're
But
not going to be
do you
using
study like, but never, like, I went to school in Australia for 3 years. We never studied the Australian Constitution.
it? No.
Why
I didn't.
not?
No.
Why not? Why are they, if that's the fundamental basis of the legal authority in Australia and your rights, why are kids not studying it? I mean, Americans will. They'll study their Constitution. Like, Americans can rattle off a lot of different, you know,
Yeah.
First Amendment, Second, I plead the Sixth, you know. You know, there's some that aren't so important, their amendments and things, but Americans will study their Constitution a lot more than Australians will. So
Yes.
why is that not considered an important aspect of education here? It's because it's a shitty Constitution, if you ask me. But have you ever met anybody that's studied, any Australian that's actually read the Australian Constitution, except maybe high-ended,
Yeah.
politically interested
Yeah, I think
people?
he was a well, he's a Seventh-day Adventist,
Right.
Polish, but he's got that Polish blood of go get him, go fight him kind of thing.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah, I think I've met another fellow when I was 16. He was a lot older than me, 21. When I started my first apprenticeship, I think he knew about the Constitution.
Yeah.
It was rattling off. I was having a discussion with someone else about the Constitution, but so.
But why isn't it studied in school?
Yeah, exactly.
You know, so like you say, education. And if you can miseducate people, fill their heads up with stuff that's irrelevant, then you can forget about it. You just go, oh, we educated them, you know, but you didn't educate them properly. You didn't educate them about what's important. And in fact, you sidetracked them, you know, and sometimes that's what I think education does, is it sidetracks people from what's important.
Yeah.
Oh. I mean, even with Australian history, you know, I didn't learn that it was the CIA and the MI6 that ended up financing John Kerr to sack Gough Whitlam until recently, you know. And I study history, you know. It's like, okay, well, there's aspects of history. Is that such an important thing in Australian history? Why isn't that being taught?
So what was Gough Whitlam doing? That was
he was pulling troops out of Vietnam. He was like, you know, trying to stop like certain. He was basically trying to get Australia to be independent of the UK and the US in its foreign policy, and certain people in the US and the UK didn't like that, you know. But he was also trying to basically care about the people of Australia, you know, with Medicare. He was the one that introduced Medicare, free universities, you know, a lot of different things like that. And the fact that the Governor General was able to, well, he was about to expose the fact that certain things were about to happen on the day they sacked him, according to John Pilger, who wrote that.
Really?
Yeah, he was about the CIA involvement in trying to overthrow the government of Australia.
Oh wow!
It was the same time that the CIA overthrew the Argentinian government.
Didn't he also want to close down Pine Gap?
Pine Gap was also part of it, yeah. Because he was threatening if they, you know. And so why is the Governor General? I mean, because people think, oh, it's all just ceremonial, the British, you know. But the Governor General is the representative of the Crown. And he sacked him, but he was being paid off by, according to John Pilger, that guy Kerr who sacked him was being paid off by the MI6 and the CIA and all that. So it's like, well, how is Australia independent, you know? If their government could be sacked by somebody, a foreign power. It's not. It's not an independent country. And that's why we have the British flag in our flag. I mean, how unindependent is that? You got some stars in the sky on the flag, and then you got this British flag in there. And it's more than ceremonial, you know? People think, oh, it's just a ceremonial thing, but it's not. And ever since then, I don't think we've had political leaders that are willing to stand up for Australia, you know?
Maybe it'll come through. Here's another thought. How about coming through people who just know how to use social media really well, and they're just spreading ideologies that tend to wake the people up.
I think that's good. That's got to be the basis of it, because even when you look at the American Revolution, it was always the technology of their time was writing and newsletters and things, you know, and they did have and debate, people just talking, you know, and they spread, you know, the news, and then eventually, you know, like Paul Revere's ride through Boston or whatever it was, you know, the British are coming and stuff, you know, they eventually organized themselves, but they still had to fight the British. Whether today you could have a revolution in Australia that was no fighting, I mean, it would be wonderful if the people that have the power are willing to give that up, you know, because that's really what it comes to, isn't it? Because if you're looking at something like the American thing of we the people, for the people, of the people, well, the current constitution is not like that.
No.
And the current power structure in Australia is not like that, right? There's certain people that the government system is not designed around we the people, of the people, for the people. It's designed around the monarchy. But it's not just the monarchy, it's the whole people that are in cahoots with them.
Yeah, well, that's it.
There's a big, broader thing. The monarchy is just, the crown is just symbol of, you know, this whole...
For the front.
It's a front for, the whole... First, in the old time, it was the British upper class, right? And the, you know, the whole class structure of British society. But now it's more broad even than that, right? It's like a corporate, you know, like whether it be the military industrial complex or the pharmaceutical company, you know, the corporations have gone in with the traditional traditional monarchists, right?
Mm.
To be the powers that be, you know? So I'm sure now it's more than that. I mean, that's why, otherwise, why would the CIA want to overthrow people's, you know, because the CIA wasn't about by the people, of the people, for the people. It was more about by the corporations, of the corporations, for the corporations.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's not forget for the corporations.
Well, see, that's what Zev Freeman would say too.
Yeah.
It's just all different individual corporations masquerading as government.
Yeah, well, they are. They're all, like, they buy out politicians, and, you know, Australia's, like, voting system, talk about a fucking unsecure voting system. Somebody could just go in. There's no security. You don't have to show any ID, right? You could just go in and go, my name's John. As long as you know somebody's address, you could go to 50 different polling booths and vote for him. My name's John Smith, and I live at, you know, and the electoral rolls are public, so you can look at an electoral roll.
Yeah.
And then you could vote at a whole lot of different pre-polling and all sorts of votes. So do you think people? It's so naive. Most Australians just think, no, nobody would do that. They're like, what? What kind of world do you live in where you think people aren't assholes, where you think people aren't corrupt? You know?
Yeah.
But again, it's that drunkenness. It's the kind of like, oh, we're right, mate, you know.
Sounds like a Crocodile Dundee. No?
Yeah, it's just, you know, as long as fucking Aussie, mate, you know, and it's like, let's get some intelligence here. Oh, I got intelligence, man. Fucking
Intelligence? Intelligence?
Mate, you didn't even fucking motherfucking beer, mate. Shut up.
You think way too deeply.
Yeah, you fucking thinking too much, mate. We're not fucking country that thinks. Like Australia, mate.
Yeah, that's it.
Australia. Yeah, I'm a fucking beer, mate.
Yeah.
That's the fucking level of fucking political debate.
Oh, no.
Nah, mate, don't question the fucking, like, fucking, nobody's gonna fucking do what you're talking about, mate. It's not, you know.
At least we hope not, anyway.
Well, you know, again, what can you do, mate, you know? Have another fucking beer, mate.
That's right.
Drink yourself into the ground, mate. You'll be dead before you know it. If not, I got a shotgun out the back, mate. Blow your fucking head off, mate.
I'll stab you with my spoon.
Yeah. No, I can't believe Australia. There's so many, like, how stupid Australia is, like, actual I mean, there's some great things about Australian electoral system, like preferential voting, you know, where you can vote 1, 2, 3. I always think that's better than what the Americans got. But the fact that there's no security, like, I mean, you think about like how many people are out there trying to hack your bank accounts, how to, you know, hack different things. People are very secure, you know, when you go into a bank, you got to show ID, you got to do this, you got to do that, right? But your vote's not secure at all. You know, I literally could vote for you, you know, as long as I know your address.
Yeah, that's right.
Just go in, and especially if I do it out of the area where nobody's going to know me, you know.
Yeah.
And I could keep voting in every electoral booth, you know. And you think people aren't doing that? Of course they are.
Yeah.
People have been known onto the, and so what they do is they just, first of all, they manipulate a lot of people to vote for the major parties, and they're stupid enough to do it. But then whenever there's any opportunity, whenever there's any kind of like potential thing that they would need to get rid of, and of course they create Tweedledum and Tweedledee having a fight, you know. So everybody thinks, oh yeah, we got a robust democracy here, you know, between the two major parties. But because they're both in the hands of, they're both puppets in the hands of the corporate elite, you know. And if anybody independent tried that they didn't want to get in, they could just put on a whole lot of fake voters to get in there and make sure they don't never get elected. So it's so easy. And of course, I believe that's what they do. So that's the level of democracy in Australia, you know. It's very sad. There's and who's standing up and going, hey, wait a minute. Shouldn't we have some security over our voting? Nobody.
Because no one cares.
I know, that's the thing. Nobody gives a shit. Which is why I say it's kind of sad. Because, like, you know, what do they say? Evil thrives where good men do nothing.
Yeah.
And if you're not going to fight for your democracy and your freedom, then who will? You'll have it taken away.
There's a bit charged there.
It is there. That's almost what I'd call somewhat uncomfortable.
Nothing like a good relaxing massage.
That's it, mate. That's it. I'm glad you've learned well. You got your one-liners there. Oh, it makes me want to pass away.
You're a duck down there.
Yeah. Oh. Oh.
Makes you cough now and then, doesn't it?
Yeah.